In this lecture, we're going to be adding in images, galleries, as well as sliders. Images aren't just visual relief from text, they're also a way to brand as well represent your business visually. The first thing that we'll do is we'll add in an image. I'll click on Add, and then I can click on Image. I'll go right here to My Image Uploads, and what I can do is I can upload an image, or I can select something free from Wix, or I can purchase something from Big Stock Images. What I'll do now is I'll select something from Wix. I'll go ahead and add to page. And there I have it. There's my image. Now you might be wondering all of the different formats that there are for implementing an image. You can always just add an image, or essentially you can add in an image in between what you already have, such as text. A really great way to describe something that you have is to add it in between text, having a header such as a title, and then the image, and then the remainder of the text. This is quite common. It's a layout that you see on many websites, and it's where you have a paragraph, your title, and then your image. Another common layout is with your text either to the left or the right, and then you have your image. A lot of times this is utilized to describe something, to where you describe something on the left and there's that image on the right, or it's utilized as visual relief, such as there's a lot of text, and now, not to be overwhelming, you don't add more text, instead you add a photo. And then you can also just lay out your photos. If you ever want to utilize them as such as having an example, of course you can do that just by putting in the images, or of course if you just want to show something, you can add that for those purposes as well. The next thing that we're going to add is a gallery. This is a fantastic way to show multiple images at the same time. I'll go ahead and click on Add, and then I'll click on Gallery. I can look through all of the different layouts that they give me for a gallery. The most common is under Grid Gallery, and it's a 3x3 grid portrait gallery, so I'll click on that. Anytime you click on adding a gallery, you're going to see that it comes default with Wix images. You'll want to change those images, so when you click on the gallery, you'll then click on Change Images, you'll hover over the image, and then you'll click on Delete to get rid of them. And you'll go through the process of deleting every single image. The next thing that you'll want to do is click on Add Images, and you can add your images that you've uploaded, or you can select something free from Wix. What I'll do is I'll just select multiple images to add in new ones. And then I have 9 selected. I'll click Add to Gallery, and then of course I can click on Done, but if I wanted to add in a title for the image or a description, I could do that for each image simply by clicking on it and editing that title and the description. And once I'm done, I'll click on Done, and then all of my images are shown right here beautifully. Now, when I go to preview mode, I'll hover over the image and that title will pop up along with that description. I'll click on it, and then here it is. That image blown up, or as we'd say, zoomed in. I can use the arrows to go from one image to the next, and then I can click on the X to get out of that image. I'll go back to the editor. I'll delete this gallery. Now, as I had said prior, there are tons of different opportunities to add a gallery. So there are full width galleries, there are showcased galleries, there are tons of different formats, but ultimately you want to select the one that's best for you. A new popular gallery is Pro Gallery, and I'll add that. And that is a collage, and it's full width. Anytime you see full width, it means it goes from one side of the screen to the other. So of course, keep in mind that it's going to take up the entire section in width. Now, if you don't like this concept of having it to where it's full width, I'll go to Add, and I won't select Pro Gallery, and I won't select anything that's listed under full width gallery. I'll go back to where I was under Grid Gallery, and that will not take up the full entire screen. That's only going to be in the center. So, of course, I can select whatever I'd like from here. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a slideshow. I'll go right here to slideshow, or as they say, slider. this is one of the most popular things that you see when you go to a website. And that's because a slider is an opportunity to add introductory content that's sliding. So you have ultimately multiple slides in the same spot. The first thing I'll do is I'll click right here on the full width slider. I'll click this one, and then here's the slider. When I click on it, I can see it says slide 1 of 3. I'll simply go from one slide to the next. This is a great way, again, to show introductory content. So for instance, let's say I had 3 services. I'd put one service on one slide, one service on the next, or whatever I feel as if would be most appropriate. Now, quite similar to as I showed with strips in the background lecture, this operates quite similar to a strip. I can change the slide background with a color, image, or video, and then I can add different elements such as text, an image, and so forth over top of it. And this is all within the one slide. So all I have to do to edit this is, of course, I can select it and I could put in, let's say, slide 1. And then, let's say I'm happy with this design, I can go next and I can type in slide 2. And as you can see, I'm editing each slide as I go from one to the next. Now, once I'm happy with my slides, I can go to the process of clicking on settings, and I can click on the duration for the slide. So how long between slides? 3 seconds. Ultimately, your slide is going to be up for 3 seconds until it goes to the next. So if I don't want it to be 3, I can make it 5. If that's too much, I can make it 2. Ultimately, you'll want to test it to find the right speed. If you don't have a lot of text, you can typically make it a little bit faster because there's not anything to read. Now, you can also set it to autoplay on loading or stop autoplay on hover. If someone hovers over it, it's going to stop, and that's a great feature to have on if, for instance, there is text. Scrolling down a tad bit, you can apply transition, which is how will one slide transition to the next. You can look at all of these animations, but essentially you'll want to test them out. And then you could put how long does each slide last, and then where do they start, from left or right. From right is default. And then, of course, to click on manage slides, I can do that. And when I click on manage slides, I can delete a slide by simply clicking on the circle and deleting it. Now, if I want to duplicate a slide, let's say it's a very similar format that I want to use for another slide, I could click on duplicate, and it's going to make a duplicate of that one slide. I can also rename the slide as well. I'll click X. And then last but not least, I can click on design. And this gives me the opportunity to adjust how the design will look, primarily within the navigation icons at the bottom of the slide and on the left and the right. So these are my arrows, and then right here, here is the little icons at the bottom. So I can change the format of how they look. Notice how they're changing simply by adjusting the design, and then of course I can change the color. And that's ultimately how you adjust your slides. Now, I'll delete this one out. I'll go right back to add, and I'll go right back to slideshow. There are many formats for the slideshow. So right here, these are full width, so they're going to go from left to right across the screen. But if you don't want it to be full width, you can click on box, and you're going to see something just like this. It's the exact same as the full width, except it's not from left to right all the way. It's in between the grid lines, but you can still adjust it the same way. Changing the background, adjusting the settings. Of course, you can adjust the layout, and you can adjust the design. As you're clicking on it, look for the pop-ups and make the changes as needed. You can also add in different elements as well. And once you're happy with something, you can then go to the process of going to the next slide. I'll just exit out, and I can go to slide 2, slide 3, and there you go. I can click on manage slides, and of course I can add in something new, duplicate, and or delete as I showed prior. Now, as I said before, sliders are great for introductory content, But of course, sliders can also be great for other purposes. Another great way to showcase a portfolio is also by having a slider, and it's also great for videos too. If you're going to go to one page and you want there to be a video to show first, you could put that on a slider, and then it could transition to another video, and so forth. Ultimately, make sure that you have fun with your sliders, and definitely do not hesitate to reference Wix templates or going to themeforest.net to see what they have as examples, because with ThemeForest, they do have a lot of websites with sliders, so you can utilize that for inspiration.